Now, I don't know if you guys can believe this, but I get asked to review a lot of movies. And let me tell you, Megamind has been like on the top of everyone's recommendations for the longest time. And honestly, I really didn't understand why at first. Because when I was younger and it came out, I kind of just seen bits and pieces of this movie, never like fully sat through and watched it. You know, I kind of just thought, it's okay, you know, it's an alright movie. So I even asked my wife, like, hey, yo, you've seen this movie before? And she said yes, and that it's one of her favorite movies. And that's a big deal because, you know, my wife doesn't really watch many movies. So I finally decided to sit down and see what all the hype is about and watch this movie. And holy shit, what have I missed out on? This movie was so far ahead of its time, doing things similar to what The Boys and Invincible kind of are doing today. Yeah, I know those are a little bit jumps in rating, but you kind of get what I'm saying. It kind of takes all the cliches of what you think about superheroes and superhero movies and just bonks it on the head. Ben Stiller, who actually was an executive producer, who also was supposed to be the main character of the movie, he said he wanted to center this around the satirization of superhero genres. You know, kind of make the movie look inward in the whole superhero villain thing. Look at it in a more realistic lens. Because at the end of the day, they are technically people who have choices. Which choices is a very big topic of this movie. You know, just because you have the powers of a superhero and to do amazing things, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna always use them for good. And some people can compare this to Brightburn, but a little bit difference of Brightburn is the fact that, you know, he came from a villainous planet. But both of these characters kind of don't really know where they came from. So it's just kind of a clean slate for both of them. And when they both land on Earth, we get a little bit of, you know, like nature versus nurture type situation. You know, kind of like how you grow up and how you're taught, you know, it kind of changes your view on the world. And we also get the idea of when a villain wins, you know, the idea of, oh, you know, now that I won, there's no superhero to stop me, you know, it kind of ruins the fun, you know? And also the idea of when a villain wins, what do they got left? Their purpose was being a villain. Now that there's no superhero, the fun's kind of gone. The list goes on of the many different cliches and tropes that happen in superhero movies that they kind of just laugh at and parody. And also, I just want to mention, the soundtrack in this movie is fucking good. I mean, sure, the soundtrack is just a bunch of classic rock songs, but hey, yeah, I'm a sucker for classic rock songs, you know? And also, this movie is funny. It has actual hilarious dialogue in this movie, which is hard to do, Megamind you. See what I did there? Please don't leave. But I mean, to be honest, David Cross always finds a way to get me to laugh.
Yeah, but what about me, Pig? Don't I make you laugh?
Well, yeah. You mean sometimes. Sometimes you get me to laugh.
Come on, man. I always makes the funniest jokes, and you never laugh, not once.
Oh, yeah, come on. Don't cry. Why don't you tell that one joke? You tell the joke all the time. Come on, tell them.
I mean, yeah, like, I got a couple of them. Remember last time we went sailing? There was a hole in the sail. We should have just used your big-ass nose for the sail instead. Okay, I got another one. Whenever you turn around, do you have to yell duck to make sure that you don't hit anyone in the face with your schnoz? Or wait, one of my favorites. My leaf blower broke. You mind if you come over to my yard and sneeze? See, you never laugh at my jokes. I told you.
Well, yeah, there he goes. He's gonna go cry himself to sleep again on his Helix mattress. I've had my Helix mattress for roughly 3 months now, and let me tell you, I've had some of the best night's sleep I've ever had. I've been falling asleep a lot faster, and also the back pain that I normally have has been going away, which is awesome. Sleeping is a very important part of being happy and healthy, and investing in a good mattress is very important. Helix mattress makes premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your need, and is conveniently shipped right to your door. Everybody's different, and Helix knows that. That's why they set up a quiz for you to take in order to figure out which specific mattress you need for your body type. Now, me personally, I like sleeping on my stomach. I like kind of medium in between firm and soft, and also I sleep with my wife, so I need one that could accommodate 2 people. Based on those results, I got placed with the Helix Dusk Luxe mattress. And the best part about Helix, you get 100 days trial to make sure that you enjoy your mattress or your money back guaranteed. We'll even come over and pick up the mattress for you, baby. And on top of that, they offer a 10-year warranty and offer financing. Why don't you go to helix.com/Bionicpig and get $200 off your mattress purchase and 2 free pillows, baby. Get it now. So before we get into this movie, I wanted to talk about why Megamind was kind of like, pushed underneath the rug. It was all because of Minions. Minions. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Despicable Me is a good movie. I think it's a great movie, honestly. But it's just unfortunate that it did overshadow Megamind. Because Megamind, I personally think, is a little bit better than Despicable Me. I mean, mostly because the whole Minion fiasco that happens after Despicable Me came out. So the movie starts out with a classic Superman reference. The whole idea of their planets collapsing. They got to send their baby off to a different planet to save them. So Megamind's planet, is falling apart. And right before the pod closes, both of his parents say, "You are destined for," boom. Door closes. We don't know what he's destined for, which is an important part in this movie because the whole idea is that Mega Man does not know what his purpose is, doesn't know what he's destined for. He kind of just goes in, not knowing anything. Because there is that whole trope of superhero movies that like, you are destined for greatness. This is what you have to do in life. So on the way to Earth, he ends up spotting another baby in another pod who happens to be Metro Man. And it's funny because Metro Man lands in a rich person's house and Megamind lands in a freaking prison. And instead of the prison saying, "Hey, there's a baby, maybe we should take him to an orphanage," let's go, they just let the prisoners take care of him and raise him. So anyway, the prisoners teach him, like being bad is good and, the cops are bad. Wow, this really was ahead of its time, wasn't it? So anyway, somehow Megamind and Metro Man both went to the same school. And obviously everyone loved Metro Man. He literally just had the biggest ego. I mean, he was raised by rich people. He always was told that he's amazing. He always got the golden star in class and he loved the limelight. And this is where we can see Mega Man isn't necessarily a bad person. He's actually a very kind person. He sees Metro Man make popcorn for everyone. So Megamind decides, "Hey, I'm gonna do that and people will like me." But it kind of goes awry and it explodes and then everyone kind of hates him. So in his mind, since he was taught all these things from the prisoners to be bad, he just assumed that that's his role. That's what he's supposed to do. It gave him purpose. He thought he's supposed to be the villain because he can't do anything right. So he ended up leaning in the bad guy persona and Metro Man ended up, being the superhero role. So now we skip to the future and we get Roxanne voiced by Tina Fey and Jonah Hill, or, I guess how. But you can kind of tell they kind of inspired the character by Jonah Hill. You kind of know how it was back then. Jonah Hill always was playing those type of characters. But anyway, they're reporting on Metro Man's new statue that is being built in his honor. And right off the bat, we can tell that Hal is an incel before incels were a thing. Another thing that makes this movie ahead of its time. He is extremely obsessed with Roxanne, like to the point that it's like harassment and creepy. He tells her that he watches her like a dingo watches a baby. And while Roxanne is getting kidnapped, Hal just confesses his love to her.
"We're not in love. I'm not saying I love you. Hey, I love you, whatever. But I'm not saying like I'm in love with you. I'm saying, Roxanne."
And Roxanne, is a classic damsel in distress, but she kind of acts like a normal person in this situation. Because if you're a damsel in distress and you keep getting caught by the same villain, you're gonna kind of be bored of their whole shenanigans, which she is. As we meet Megamind as an adult and Minion, voiced by David Cross, Roxanne is just not having any of his shit. And this is where we first see Megamind not treating a villain by actually doing villainous things. He's more of playing the role as the villain. He doesn't necessarily have evil in him, but he feels like he's supposed to be the villain, like that's his purpose. Every yin needs a yang. And we'll see a lot more of this as the movie progresses. So we meet Metro Man, who is literally just enveloped in his own ego, basically treated as a god by everyone. And the movie made him out to look like Elvis Presley because, he is considered to be the king. I mean, the dude literally just snatches 3 babies, starts juggling them, and just tosses them back to the moms. And the moms are like, "Oh my God, thank you for juggling my baby." So you can see he doesn't really treat people like treeple. Treeple? He doesn't really treat people like people. He just looks at them like, "Oh, these are things that feed my ego, and that's all I care about. Just the attention, that's all he wants." I mean, he literally just walks on water right in front of all of them just to make that solid reference like, "Hey, I am considered a god, and you are my peasant."
Okay, the spider's new.
Spider? Yes. The spider. The paralyzed. Oh!
But anyway, Megamind tells Metro Man that, he has Roxanne, they're going through their regular superhero and villain moments. But Roxanne ends up giving away their position. But it was actually bait. And Megamind actually ends up killing Metro Man.
Even he could survive that.
Metro Man.
Metro Man. Metro Man!
Because apparently Metro Man's weakness is copper, which again is another parody reference to Superman. So everyone is thrown off and blown away. Even the crowd of people who obsess over Metro Man are just surprised that he actually won because they're so used to him losing. And this is where Megamind's true colors begin to show. And I'm not talking about blue. He, like a kid who is left home alone without his parents, he kind of just goes on a rampage and does every single fun thing he can do as a villain. But after a while, he starts to realize, hey, you know, this is all meaningless. What's the point of even being bad if no one's gonna be there to stop you? Which again shows that he's not obsessed with being a villain or obsessed with being bad. He is just playing that role because he enjoyed just that back and forth of villain and hero. And now that there's no hero, there's no purpose. So he goes to cry to the statue of Metro Man and says that he's gonna blow it up because he can't handle the pain of looking at it. And at the same time, Roxanne is doing the same thing on the other side. And then she runs into Bernard, who's just a cranky librarian, who is voiced by Ben Stiller, by the way. But Roxanne overhears Megamind and she runs around to see who it is. So Megamind dehydrates Bernard and then turns into Bernard with his little fancy watch. So as they're going down and walking out, they start to bond over the fact that they don't like Mega Man and they like Metro Man. Literally just talking about how since Metro Man's gone, no one is going to be able to stop Mega Man. And that makes him sad. So Roxanne gives him a great idea. She mentions that good will always rise up against evil. So he gets the crazy idea to create another superhero. So as he's explaining this idea to Minion, we get a little Karate Kid reference here. But he tells him that he's going to extract Mega Man's DNA from his cape and create a little juicy gun that can make someone have superpowers. So as this is happening, Megamind gets a call from Roxanne. And I just want to mention the back and forth in this scene with, you know, Megamind as Bernard and Roxanne is honestly just really well done and hilarious. Because again, it shows that Mega Man cares about people because he doesn't want Roxanne to get hurt. I mean, he literally blows up his pet robots in order to make sure that she gets out. And also that he keeps the idea that he's Bernard and not Megamind. And during their little scuffle when he was Megamind, you know, fighting against Roxanne, he accidentally shoots off the gun and it ends up hitting Hal in the face because Hal was actually there to record everything that was happening. So things are starting to get interesting because Roxanne starts getting interested in Bernard but still hates Mega Man. And now we have Hal, who Mega Man decides to just let Hal keep the powers and become a space father figure in order to teach him how to use his powers. And we could easily see that right off the bat, he made a huge mistake. Hal is basically if you gave an angry incel superpower. Imagine how dangerous that would be. Oh, hey, look, a Donkey Kong reference. So we get a montage of him training Hal while at the same time going out on dates with Roxanne. And we get even more details of how bad Hal actually is. He mentions to his space dad, who is Megamind, that he has his eye on a girl. And by that, I mean he literally is spying on her across the city with his supervision, which is as creepy as it possibly can get. But at the same time, if you think about it, this is very realistic. If you gave a pervert who is an incel superpowers, they would be doing weird shit like this. And this is where shit gets even worse because Megamind, as you know, Hal's space dad, tells him that all he has to do to win a girl's heart is save her life. And boy, Hal, or Titan, as he's referred to by his super name, he kind of took that very literally. He goes up to Roxanne's house, literally just grabs her and takes off with her and says, oh, you're right. I need to save you a couple times first to make sure you're okay. Literally just drops her from 1,000 feet in the air and then saves her. It's like, oh, look, I saved you now. Now we can be in love. He literally almost kills her multiple times by like bouncing through traffic, almost dropping her because he still doesn't have complete control over his powers and he's a little bit overconfident. Then he takes her to literally the tallest building and says, hey, let's talk about our future. We're gonna get married, you know. Oh, look, we're having our first fight. It's like an old married couple, just giving off the milady incel nice guy energy. Hey, I'm entitled to you because I have powers now, just like an incel. So she denies him and then he throws a fit, leaves her at the top of this tallest building, destroys all of the windows. So yeah, we could start seeing that he's gonna be a problem. Oh yeah, Titan even ends up seeing her and Bernard out on a date. And then Roxanne and Megamind end up kissing. But accidentally, she hits his watch, he turns into Megamind, and everyone sees it, and she's pissed off, obviously. So she ends up dumping Megamind, and that was kind of just like him shutting off from everything else. He goes back to his villainous ways because that was the only thing that gave him purpose. He thought for a second, oh, maybe, you know, I could be someone else. I could actually choose to be something else. And then after being dumped, he's like, no, screw it. I'm going back to being a villain. That's it. So he kind of terrorizes the city, gets everyone scared to bait out Titan to get in a fight with them. Turns out, Titan never shows up. So angry, he goes into his apartment building and sees that he has been stealing shitloads of money. Not only that, but Titan doesn't want to be a hero. He wants to join forces with Megamind and be a villain. And obviously Megamind doesn't like that because he said he wants to be the villain. You're supposed to be the superhero. This is how it's supposed to work. So he kind of antagonizes him by saying, hey, I created you. I'm your space father. And on top of that, I was smooching the girl that you like. So they start getting a little tussle, and at first Megamind's, kind of laughing with it, enjoying it, because this is the thing that gave him purpose. But then he starts to realize, oh shit, he's actually trying to kill me. Because I guess Metro Man and Megamind kind of had this like silent treaty going on where they never actually wanted to kill each other, because obviously Metro Man is 1,000 times stronger than Megamind and he could kill him pretty easily. They just kind of went through the motions because Metro Man, all he wanted was the attention. And Megamind, the villainous stuff just gave him purpose. So they kind of were happy with where they were and they didn't want to lose it. But Titan's different. He's an angry incel. He wants to kill Megamind. So Megamind ends up trying to trap him with Copper, but turns out Copper actually isn't Metro Man's weakness, and he gets out of it. So he ends up escaping Metro City, and he goes to Roxanne and asks for her help, and she reluctantly agrees. So they go to Metro Man's hideout, which turns out is the old school that they both went to when they were younger. And guess what? Not really much of a spoiler because this is a 10-year-old movie, but Metro Man didn't actually die. He faked his death.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier.
And the reason that he faked his death is because he was tired of the same old thing. He thought he didn't have a choice. He thought he was supposed to be the hero and that's it. But then he had a little bit of an epiphany. He can choose. So he faked the whole thing, said that Copper was his weakness, threw a skeleton into the thing to make it look like he died, and then pursued music instead.
And Music Man was born.
Music Man?
That way I could keep...
So he tells both of them that he's not going to help them because he gave up the superhero thing. Which is interesting because every time this happens, every time like a superhero wants to quit or gives up, they don't quit. They just end up becoming villains, Like there are some instances where they quit, but like it's never like this where Metro Man is literally just like, I'm just bored of it. I want to do music instead. Where he just wants to be more normal, which is a nice refreshing take because a lot of times they end up just becoming the villain or something like that. So he ends up telling Megamind like, I made a choice. I found my path. It's time for you to find your path. So even though Metro Man told him that, he still is ingrained with that idea that, oh, I'm the villain. I can't do anything. We need a hero, not a villain. So he ends up turning himself in and just giving up. Until Titan ends up yoinking Roxanne and using her as bait to get Megamind out to fight him. So he ends up apologizing to the security guard saying, I've changed, I'm sorry, this isn't good. So he ends up apologizing to the security guard. Turns out the security guard was actually Minion.
There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no England.
They end up flying off to save Roxanne, have a welcome to the jungle, huge entrance, which was awesome, by the way. And as he saves Roxanne, Titan literally throws an entire skyscraper at him, and it looks like he's screwed at this point. He's trapped under rubble, he's screwed. But lo and behold, Metro Man came back, or what looks like Metro Man.
So, you're the punk I've heard about.
This fly is pissing me off. So he actually ends up scaring Titan out of the city by posing as Metro Man. But it turns out he gave himself away, and how he gave himself away is he calls Metro City Metrocity, and he's apparently the only person who calls it that. So Titan figures that out pretty quick and comes back. As everything starts looking hopeless, he ends up finding his invisible car because he lost his invisible car the night that Roxanne dumped him. And the gun that sucks out his superhero juices in that car. So he ends up getting in the car, getting that little siphon gun, and sucks out the superhero juice from his nose and saves the day. And then the villain gets the girl, kind of going against the superhero gets the girl type trope. I mean, sure, he kind of turned into a hero, but he was labeled as a villain. You know what I'm saying? So in the end, they end up making a statue in Megamind's honor instead. And out in the crowd, we see Metro Man, who looks at him and just says, way to go, little buddy. An amazing end to an amazing movie. So thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys like this video, please make sure to follow me on Twitter. It's Bionicpig YT on Twitter. You could also subscribe to me. And also I will be playing a Megamind video game right as this video ends. That's right. There is a Megamind video game and I'm going to be playing it right now on stream. Go to twitch.tv/BionicpigTV. You can watch me there. I might drop dong. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe that'll just be my career-ending stunt, is dropping dong on stream right now. Bye.